Hello, Theosophers. Thanks for the reply. It's tropical Sunday morning. And yes, you said something interesting. You talked about artifice. And you talked about the word natural just doesn't mean, isn't supposed to mean everything. The intent is to pick out these things that are human creations, artifice, versus things that aren't. Granted, that, and I've said that before, that is a very important meaning of this term. That's an important distinction, okay? It's an important distinction, just like when you don't want chemicals in your food, you really mean you don't want certain chemicals. Artificial artifices, chemicals humans have created. And it makes it a good distinction. The problem is, this is obviously something that applies to our human world. Maybe it applies to beyond that, but it obviously applies to our human world. This distinction, for example, if I'm out in the woods and I see something artificial, an artificial human creation, and humans have been here. Information. It's an important distinction because we are living. We're humans. It's very interesting to know if some other living or human thing has been there. But then we draw that as a metaphor, and there's various problems. First of all, there's problems because of other animals. Another animal can create an artifice. Is that natural or artificial? Well, it's natural usually because we don't just mean artifice in general, we mean human artifice. Very, very specific little term with heuristics in it that apply at our level. Do they apply at the level of fundamental physics or of epistemology? See, that's the problem. We apply this natural idea that makes sense as a distinction of human created or not. We apply that in a world that doesn't really involve humans, this world of raw epistemology. Now, of course, it involves humans because we're the ones having an epistemology. But I mean, it's about the world separate from cognition or besides cognition, the world that's happening along with our cognition, that itself does not seem what we would call cognitive, okay? So the question is, this artifice, does it apply in the world of ideas? Are there artificial ideas, ideas that don't come naturally? Is this metaphor of human created apply right down in the fundamental parts of knowledge? Okay, so metaphysics. Metaphysics is beyond nature, right? It's beyond nature. And it's an artifice of man. Now we need to ask, are artifices of man, this metaphysics, characteristics of nature or not? Are they actually beyond nature? See, our metaphor fails because there are artifice, and yet they exist in nature. We exist in nature. Artifices of human, in that sense, are natural. And so in a subject like epistemology, you can't talk about something beyond nature. Nature does mean everything in that domain. Now, in the domain of, wait, is it human made or did a tree make it or what species made it? Fine. But you're going to find the word natural fails us because basically we've used our microscope of knowledge to look at the parts of it. And suddenly this distinction is arbitrary and very macroscopic. It applies to the world of man, but not to the fundamental world of information. But anyway, thank you for your reply. I appreciate it. I appreciate you not getting hung up on how bothered I have gotten. I'm a little bit bothered about the philosophy, but also I got bothered because you came in and said that I would believe metaphysics if I just studied some philosophy, which bugs me because one, I've studied philosophy, and two, other people that have the same view of me about metaphysics may not have, and they can also be correct. They don't have to have studied philosophy. You have to focus on the ideas. It bugs me when people try to do this, especially they haven't even studied. Then what are they talking about? You know, you run into a PhD. He can tell you that you're using the terms sloppy, that you don't know the technical language. He can really want to talk to another PhD. But he can't say that he's right in your disagreement because he has a PhD, because there's other guys with PhDs that disagree with him. He could say you're not very good at arguing your side of the argument because you haven't been educated or you don't know the technical terms or whatever. But he can't really say that his authority makes him correct in his side of the argument. So I just don't like that kind of thing. So it bugged me. But I do like that you've stuck with it. And I think we've done something good to get here to artifice. Because I agree that term, that version of the term natural is important. That's how we're going to measure our impact on, you know, of the natural environment. Okay, even though we're part of it, and it's a little bit of dog chasing tail. That's a good question at that level. The level of fundamental facts of reality, no, they're either not facts or they're from nature.